Hey, what's up everyone? Jeff from Jersey Shore. Jeff, I am at the entrance of a beautiful Sandy Hook. It's a federal park here at the very northern tip of the Jersey Shore. So when I talk about the Jersey Shore, I'm talking about from Sandy Hook, which is where we are now. New York City is right over the water there. We'll probably get a view of it in a moment. All the way down to Cape May. So Jersey Shore is quite long, but this is where it starts as far as the northern end. I'm planning on doing some hiking here as well, but not today. That's not what this video is about. This video is about pretty much a summary of Sandy Hook. I'm going to show you around the park a little bit. Lots to see and do. That's why I want to do the trails in a separate video. So come along with me. Let's check out and investigate Sandy Hook National Recreational Park.
Sandy Hook is part of the massive National Park Service managed by Gateway National Recreation Area. Now, if you're watching my Jersey Shore Jeff road trip series here on the channel, you know that we've traveled through so many incredible shore towns already. We started down south, worked our way through towns like Belmar, Spring Lake, Asbury Park, Seabright, and the Highlands. And now we've finally made it to the very northern tip of the Jersey Shore itself, and what a ending or beginning it is. This place is absolutely incredible. And by the way, that Jersey Shore road trip series is far from over. We've done everything from Island Beach State Park all the way to up here at Sandy Hook. And it's going to continue now. We're going to start at Long Beach Island and head all the way down to Cape May. It'll be a couple of videos, but make sure you're tuned into the channel, subscribed, and clicked on that notification bell so you don't miss any of that road trip series. Anyway, here at Sandy Hook, you've got massive beaches, military history, bike paths, fishing spots, old abandoned army buildings, a lighthouse, dunes, wildlife, views of New York City, and some of the most peaceful scenery you'll find anywhere in New Jersey. Sandy Hook is not your typical boardwalk town. There are no giant arcades, no towering casino resorts, no giant roller coasters, no commercial boardwalks lined with pizza shops and sausage stands. Instead, Sandy Hook feels wild, natural, historic, and almost untouched in many areas. One of those places where you can really slow down and appreciate the beauty of the Jersey Shore. And today we're going to explore it together, so grab your beach chair, maybe a coffee or cold drink, kick back, relax. Let's check out one of the most fascinating places in the entire state of New Jersey. Welcome to Sandy Hook. As we begin our drive into Sandy Hook, one of the first things you notice is how different this place feels compared to the rest of the Jersey Shore. I mean, after all, it is a national park. The road itself almost feels like you're driving into another world. You leave behind the busy commercial shore towns and suddenly you're surrounded by dunes, marshes, beach grass, coastal forests, and open water. Now, geographically speaking, Sandy Hook is what's known as a barrier spit. It stretches about 6 miles long and sits right at the northern entrance of Lower New York Bay. And in simple terms, this strip of land helps protect New York Harbor from the full force of the Atlantic Ocean. And because of that strategic location, Sandy Hook became one of the most important military and maritime locations in American history. But before we get into all that history, let's just take a look around for a second. This place is gorgeous. Off to one side you have the Atlantic Ocean, on the other side you've got Sandy Hook Bay. Although I just call it the Navesink River. And depending upon where you stand, you can actually see the skyline of Manhattan rising in the distance. It's one of the coolest things about Sandy Hook. You're technically at the Jersey Shore, but New York City feels incredibly close. On clear days, the skyline views are absolutely amazing. Especially around sunset, you'll see ferries moving through the water, fishing boats cruising around the bay, and massive cargo ships heading towards New York Harbor. It's such a unique combination of nature and urban scenery. You almost feel like you're standing in between two worlds. There's some great hiking and biking trails here, and I plan on bringing my bike up here and doing videos of both. Now, the name Sandy Hook actually comes from the Dutch. The Dutch called this area Sant Hoek, which basically translates to sandy point or corner of sand. And over the centuries, this little strip of land became incredibly important to sailors and ships entering New York Harbor. For hundreds of years, specially trained mariners called Sandy Hook pilots would guide ships safely through the waters here. And even today, Sandy Hook remains one of the key maritime locations on the East Coast. Now, let's shift gears a little bit and talk about the beaches, because Sandy Hook has some of the best beaches anywhere in New Jersey, and what makes them different is how natural they feel. These aren't heavily commercialized beaches. There's a much more open, spacious atmosphere around here. There's huge stretches of sand, dunes, birds flying overhead, waves crashing, and depending upon the time of year, some sections almost feel secluded. Sandy Hook has multiple beach areas, including North Beach, South Beach, and the famous Gunnison Beach. And yes, Gunnison Beach, one of the largest clothing-optional beaches on the East Coast. So if you visit this area, just beware of that beforehand. One of the coolest spots here is Battery Gunnison. This restored gun battery gives visitors a chance to see what coastal defense looked like decades ago. Volunteers have done an incredible job restoring the area and even reinstalling historic artillery pieces. When you stand next to those huge guns, you really get a sense of just how important this place once was. There's also Battery Potter, another historic defense installation that sometimes offers guided tours. And then you've got the old Nike missile sites from the Cold War era, and if you grew up during the Cold War, just hearing the words Nike missile immediately brings back images of radar stations, missile silos, and defense systems designed to protect major cities. And well, that's exactly what Sandy Hook was part of. This peninsula helped protect New York City from potential attacks, and honestly, incredible to think about. You come here expecting beaches and ocean waves, and instead you discover military history stretching across multiple centuries. If you're wondering about where to eat while you're here at Sandy Hook, there's other sections that have family beaches with lifeguards, restrooms, and seasonal food stands during the summer months. One thing I really like here is that even during the busy summer weekends, Sandy Hook still feels more spread out than many Jersey Shore destinations. You don't feel packed on top of everybody. There's room to breathe, room to relax, room to enjoy the scenery. This is the Sandy Hook Proving Ground. Back in the 1800s, the U.S. Army used this area to test all kinds of weapons. Everything from machine guns to giant 16 caliber cannons were tested here. These weapons helped make the Army a powerful military force during the Spanish-American War and World War I. Now, another interesting thing about Sandy Hook is its connection to maritime rescue history and the United States Coast Guard. Sandy Hook was home to one of the original life-saving stations dating back to the 1800s. Long before modern Coast Guard rescue systems existed, brave crews stationed here would head out into the dangerous storms to rescue shipwrecked victims. And considering how treacherous these waters could become during storms, those rescue crews were true heroes. Even today, there's still an active Coast Guard presence here on Sandy Hook, although certain areas are restricted from public access, of course. Look way off into the horizon and you'll see the Manhattan skyline. I've been exploring Sandy Hook for decades, and I know it like the back of my hand. It's 6 miles long. I love to explore it on foot as well, and as I said earlier, I want to do some hiking videos here and some biking videos. Really haven't done much biking videos other than the boardwalk in Atlantic City, but I'll strap my camera to my forehead and show you guys around Sandy Hook in detail. But stay tuned for today, because we're not done exploring this by car yet. We still have to check out Fort Hancock, the lighthouse, and other areas, so that's all coming up here on the video. Now, eventually, as the day goes on, you really begin appreciating just how unique the atmosphere is here. There's something calming about Sandy Hook. Maybe it's the open space, maybe it's the ocean breeze, maybe it's the combination of history and nature, or maybe it's simply being at the literal edge of the Jersey Shore. This place almost feels like a final destination point. The road eventually ends, the land narrows, and beyond that lies New York Harbor and the Atlantic Ocean. There's something poetic about it. If you've never visited Sandy Hook before, I recommend taking the time to explore beyond just the beaches. Walk through the old fort area, check out the lighthouse, drive slowly through the park road, stop at different overlooks, watch the boats in the harbor, take in the skyline views, because honestly, Sandy Hook is so much more than just a beach destination. It's history, nature, military heritage, maritime culture, and just classic Jersey Shore scenery all wrapped into one place. Now we're going to head over to the Fort Hancock area, one of my favorite places here on Sandy Hook, and we're going to take a look around there. If it looks familiar to you guys and you've never been to Sandy Hook before, probably because it's been in movies and in the press for, well, at least 100 years. And when I say the press in 100 years, I mean the literal press, not the internet. As you begin to explore the old military sections around Fort Hancock, it literally feels like a living history museum around here. This old army post dates back to the late 1800s and played a major role in defending New York Harbor. During different periods of American history, this area was packed with soldiers, artillery batteries, coastal defense guns, and eventually Nike missile systems during the Cold War. Today, many of the buildings remain standing, although some are in very rough condition. You've got old barracks, officer homes, warehouses, bunkers, and military structures scattered all throughout the area. And like I said, I've been coming to Sandy Hook for decades. I've seen this area go from pretty decent to not so great shape. And although all of this is owned by the federal government, which I guess is you and me, it's a shame because I can't help drive or walk through this area and think what a great resort this would be. Picture it, shops, restaurants, parks, right on the waterfront, a ferry ride to Manhattan, maybe even a casino. And you've got the really active Jersey Shore just south of here. But that's just me. Sometimes my thoughts run away with me. Walking through here honestly feels a little eerie at times. There's almost a ghost town atmosphere in certain sections. You can imagine what life must have been like here decades ago when this place was active with military personnel. Some of these roads and pathways feel frozen in time, and if you're into photography, history, or urban exploration, this area is absolutely fascinating. This is one of the first places I want to take on foot to show you guys in another video. And yeah, I'll get close up to these buildings and look in the windows with you. Now, because some of the structures are deteriorating, as you can see, certain buildings are closed off for safety reasons, but there's also restoration projects happening to help preserve some of these historic buildings for future generations. And honestly, I hope they continue saving as much of this place as possible because it's an incredible, important piece of American history. And who would have thunk? All this at the Jersey Shore. And by the way, a little explorer tip, this place is great to visit in the wintertime, right after a freshly fallen snow. This proud American wants to wish America a very happy 250th birthday. Now let's check out the lighthouse. This, my friends, is the oldest continuously operating lighthouse in the United States. Think about that for a second. This lighthouse has stood here since before the American Revolution. I mean, before the United States even officially existed, generations of sailors, immigrants, soldiers, and travelers have seen this lighthouse standing here as they approached New York Harbor. This is one of the most iconic landmarks anywhere along the Jersey Shore, and when you walk around the lighthouse grounds, you can really feel the history. The architecture is beautiful, the setting is peaceful, and it's amazing knowing this lighthouse has survived wars, storms, hurricanes, and centuries of changing history. I wouldn't mind living here. I mean, it's on the water, it's got a ton of deck space, and well, don't let the hazardous area sign fool you. We'll just call it a fixer-upper. Let's say I did live here. I'd love to see the expression on the Uber Eats guy. Don't let it fool you guys. This building is screaming wild parties. And it's right up the street from that resort I want to build. You know, the one with the casino. Anyway, let's move on. As we leave Fort Hancock, we'll explore the west side of Sandy Hook now, the Bayside, or, well, I still call it the Navesink Riverside. This side of the island of Sandy Hook is literally a couple hundred yards from the ocean side. This is where Sandy Hook becomes a paradise for walkers, cyclists, fishermen, and kite surfers. There are paved paths running throughout the park. You'll see people biking for miles, joggers, families walking dogs, bird watchers, people fishing off the shoreline, and sunsets over the bay can be absolutely stunning. Especially when the Manhattan skyline starts glowing in the distance. Honestly, if you're somebody who enjoys peaceful scenic drives or quiet shoreline walks, Sandy Hook is hard to beat, especially on this side. Now, one thing I've always enjoyed about exploring places like this is looking at the wildlife and nature around me. Sandy Hook is filled with coastal ecosystems. You've got dunes and marshes and forests and beaches and wetlands all packed into this narrow strip of land, and because of that, there's a tremendous amount of wildlife here. You'll see seagulls everywhere, of course, but also terns, migratory birds, deer, and all kinds of coastal species. By the way, speaking of deer, we passed must be dozens of deer during this video. If you haven't been keeping your eyes open, well, you missed them all, but they're there. Rewind it and check. In some areas, the vegetation almost resembles the pine barrens down south here in Jersey, mixed with coastal prairie landscapes, and depending upon the season, the scenery changes dramatically. Right now, the spring brings fresh greenery and migratory birds. Summer is, of course, beach season. Fall can be absolutely gorgeous with changing colors and cooler temperatures, and winter gives the place an almost haunting beauty. Well, everybody, I hope you enjoyed today's adventure here at Sandy Hook, one of the most unique and fascinating places anywhere along the Jersey Shore, the northern tip of the Jersey Shore. I've been coming here for years, and every time I come, I discover something new. From the beaches and wildlife to the abandoned military history, Sandy Hook truly offers something completely different from the rest of the Jersey Shore. Don't forget, guys, if you enjoyed the video, please subscribe to the channel, give the video a thumbs up, and share it on your social media. That's it for today. I'm Jersey Shore Jeff, bringing the Jersey Shore right to your door. Thanks for watching, guys. I appreciate it.